In the heart of a desert that glowed like molten gold, there stood a city called Noor, a place where the past and future shared the same streets, ancient mosques reflected in skyscraper glass, and neon signs curled in shapes that once belonged to calligraphers' hands. Drones buzzed where doves once flew. Prayers blended with the hum of electric air. In that city lived a young merchant. His name didn't matter. People just called him the seller of memories. His little stall, tucked between two cracked walls, offered something rare. In tiny glass jars shimmered colored powder, not perfume, not spice, but emotions. When burned, each released feelings coded into microscopic particles: the taste of first love, the smell of courage, the ache of goodbye. People said he had good hands, a kind smile, and a heart too soft for the world he lived in. But every night, when the market quieted and the stars blinked through city haze, he climbed to his grandmother's rooftop. Across the canal, the new city shone like a promise: glass towers and hovering cars, silver streets, and wealth stacked toward the sky. He'd stand there and whisper, "One day I'll be there too." His grandmother, old and wrapped in a faded shawl, would shake her head. "Careful, my boy," she'd say. "The higher the tower, the longer the shadow. And shadows don't always fall where you want them." He'd laugh it off. Shadows were just shapes on the ground. What could they really take from him? The next stall over worked a calligraphy artist, a woman with ink on her fingers and a spark in her eyes. She painted old verses on glowing glass screens, words that shimmered and moved like poetry made of light. The merchant liked to tease her, saying, "You make meaning, I make memories. We should go into business together." She'd smile back. "You sell the past, I sell the soul. Careful which one runs out first." They grew close, sharing late tea and dreams. She grounded him. He made her laugh. Life was simple, beautiful even. Until one strange night changed everything. A sandstorm rolled in from the desert, roaring like a living beast. The bazaar closed early. Dust howled through the alleys, and lamps flickered in the haze. The merchant was packing his jars when he noticed something impossible: his shadow. It was moving, but not like it should. It stretched away from him, bending toward a narrow alley he'd never seen before. He frowned, shifted the lamp. Still the shadow pointed. It was almost calling him. "Okay," he muttered. "That's weird." He followed. At the end of the alley stood a door that hadn't been there yesterday, tall, metallic, humming softly. A symbol glowed at eye level, a crescent moon wrapped around a thin, glowing circuit line. As he stepped closer, the door opened on its own. Inside was silence, thick, electric, holy. The air smelled faintly of iron and roses. Along the walls stood shelves filled with glass cubes. Inside each cube swirled a dark mist, shifting like smoke trapped in water. Floating lanterns, or maybe drones, cast a soft gold glow. At the far end waited a figure in white robes, face hidden behind a mirror-smooth mask. "Welcome," the figure said. "You followed your shadow. That means you're ready to make a trade." The merchant's heart raced. "What kind of trade?" "This," said the masked figure, "is the archive of echoes, a market for what cannot be priced. Memories, regrets, shadows." He tried to laugh. "You're saying you buy shadows?" "A shadow," said the figure, "is not just the absence of light. It's the weight that trails behind your choices, your conscience, your hesitation, your capacity for guilt. Most people want to lose that weight. We make it possible." He blinked. "And what do you give in return?" "Foresight," the figure said. "You will sense the future, which ideas will rise, which dreams will die, which flavors will rule the world. You'll see tomorrow before it arrives." He thought of his grandmother's medicine bills, his small stall, the city skyline that mocked him every night. He thought of the artist who painted verses of light and told him he was better than greed. Then he thought of success. He hesitated, then asked, "If I sell my shadow, will I lose my ability to love?" The figure replied, "You will still love, but the fear that protects love, regret, compassion, the ache of hurting someone you care for, and that will fade. You will love without pain." He breathed out slowly. "That doesn't sound too bad." The figure tilted their head. "It never does in the beginning. "Let's make the deal," he said. The air shimmered. His shadow peeled off the ground, thin as smoke, alive as breath. He gasped. It rose before him, a dark echo of himself, then drifted into an empty cube, the glass sealed with a faint hum. He felt lighter, sharper, like the air had turned into music only he could hear. Ideas clicked into place. Numbers danced. He could feel what the city would want before it knew. When he stepped outside, the storm had gone. But under the streetlights, the ground behind him was clean. No shadow. People stared. Children whispered. Some crossed themselves. But his fame grew faster than fear. The shadowless merchant became a sensation. Every product he made went viral. Every decision hit gold. He predicted market shifts like magic, built stores across the city, partnered with the elite. He dressed in tailored suits now. His name appeared in glowing ads that floated above the canal. The artist joined him for a while, designing luminous poetry for his experiences, verses about love and truth projected inside luxury showrooms. Together they dazzled the world. But something in him changed. When his grandmother fell sick, he paid for the best doctors, sent endless flowers. But when the artist said softly, "You should be with her," he just replied, "I've already done what matters." She stared at him. "It's not doing, it's feeling." He didn't understand. Later, when his business expansion forced dozens of small shops to close, she confronted him again. "You're becoming the kind of man you used to hate." He smiled faintly. "That's how survival works." She turned away. "No, that's how souls die." When his grandmother finally passed, he didn't cry. He just made a donation in her name and returned to work. The city called him visionary. The artist called him lost. Eventually she left quietly, like sunset fading from glass. He didn't chase her. Then one night, the city's lights flickered. Screens across Noor glitched, showing people not their faces, but versions of themselves, cold, tired, consumed by greed. For 60 seconds everyone saw what they'd become, and then the images vanished. Panic spread. Engineers traced the source to one company, his. His algorithms had infected the city's network, projecting human guilt like a mirror. Officials stormed his tower. "Fix this before it burns the city down," they demanded. For the first time in years, fear touched him. Real fear. He saw how empty he'd become, how clean his success looked, and how many lives it had quietly erased. That night, he walked away from the skyline he once worshipped. He crossed the canal back to the old quarter, to cracked walls, warm lamps, and human voices. The artist was there, painting soft lines of gold light on the wall beside his grandmother's old bed. "I need to find that place again," he said. She looked up, brush in hand. "You really want your shadow back?" He nodded. "I'm done living light and blind." They walked together through sleeping streets. The alley found them, as if waiting. The door appeared again, the crescent and circuit glowing faintly. Inside, the archive of echoes was unchanged. The masked figure waited. "You've returned," they said. "Few do." "I want to reverse the deal," he said. "I want to feel again." The figure studied him. "The shadow you gave us has grown heavy, full of what you refused to carry. Guilt, pain, loss. When it comes back, it will crush you. You may not survive it, and your empire will vanish with it." He met their gaze. "Then let it vanish. I'd rather feel pain than nothing." The figure raised a hand. One cube floated from the shelves, glowing faintly. Inside it, his shadow twisted like smoke. When the glass broke, it rushed toward him. The darkness hit hard, flooding through his skin, slamming every memory into place, every face he'd ignored, every tear he'd caused, every piece of love he'd thrown away. He fell to his knees, sobbing. The artist knelt beside him, holding him as he shook. "It's okay," she whispered. "Don't fight it. Feel it." When he opened his eyes again, dawn was breaking. He stepped outside the archive, and there, at his feet, lay his shadow. Long, real, home. He let his empire collapse. The city forgot him, but he rebuilt something better, a small shop in the old quarter, selling scents that healed instead of numbed. The artist worked beside him, painting verses of mercy and memory. They called it the memory of shadows. It wasn't famous, it wasn't rich, but it was real. People came broken and left lighter. Sometimes at night he'd sit on the rooftop again, looking at the towers across the canal. His shadow lay beside him, calm and honest. The artist once asked, "Do you ever miss it? The fame, the spotlight?" He smiled. "Sometimes. But that life was weightless. I'd rather walk slow with my shadow than fly blind without it." Her smile glowed under the stars. "Guess you finally learned how to listen to the dark." He laughed softly. "Yeah, turns out the dark was the only part of me that still told the truth." And deep below the city, in the silent archive, the masked figure paused before an empty glass cube and murmured, "Most sellers never return. But the ones who do, they make the story worth keeping." Morale: you can trade anything, your time, your kindness, even your conscience, for success. But when you lose your shadow, you lose the part that keeps you human. A shadow isn't your darkness. It's your proof that light still touches you.